up file item 144. This is file item 144, Senate Bill 343. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 343 by Senator Allen and others, and relating to environmental advertising.
Ms. Gonzalez, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a simple bill that I can't imagine anyone wouldn't be for. I honestly can't imagine how anyone could argue against this bill. It is simple. It says you cannot have the chasing arrow symbol, that symbol that we all associate with being recyclable, on material that's not recyclable. Like, how do you argue against that? We are allowing and actually encouraging people, consumers, to put material into the recycling bin that can never be recycled, that we know has to then be removed from recyclables and sent into the landfill. Why? Because it makes a company's brand look green friendly. Wish cycling. We're going to pretend that someday in the future we'll have some technology in order to recycle it, but for now we're just going to make it look pretty for you. This is ridiculous. It's dishonest. It's not in the interest of consumers or companies to allow it. And it's certainly not in the interest of our goals to reach recycling rates for single-use plastics. We have to get to the point where we're honest with ourselves. That's what this bill seeks to start to do. I have yet to hear an argument in opposition to this bill that makes any sense. And if somebody has it, please tell me. I heard something about batteries. Well, guess what? We don't want people throwing batteries in the recycling bin. That's what starts fires. They're not recyclable. That is a bad conduct that we don't want to encourage. We don't want people throwing in plastics that maybe 5 years from now will have technology to recycle. The author of this bill, Mr. Allen, Senator Allen, has worked with the opposition stakeholders from across the spectrum in an effort to reach a middle ground and has taken numerous amendments to address concerns, including giving manufacturers more time to comply and reducing CalRecycle's discretion and workload. Current law already prohibits a manufacturer from making untruthful environmental claims, such as earth-friendly or recyclable. And SB 343 simply extends the prohibition to the use of the chasing arrow symbol if a product or packaging is not truly recyclable. By clarifying that only actual recyclable material can display the chasing arrow symbol, SB 343 will end consumer confusion about what is recyclable, improve recycling efficiencies, and reduce contamination costs at recycling facilities. We worked hard to try to take on the plastic issue, the single-use plastic issue, on this floor, and we've come short. But colleagues, if we cannot even say that consumers deserve the right to know whether a product should be thrown into the blue bin or not, if that's too difficult, I really worry about the future of our earth, quite frankly. So if anyone's opposed to this bill, I challenge you to stand up and explain what is so onerous about asking a product to tell us the truth. But if not, I encourage you to vote aye.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. There's no need to stand up. Ms. Rivas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today as a co-author and supporter of SB 343, which would expand the existing truth and environmental advertising law to end consumer confusion about what materials are recyclable. I agree with the member from San Diego. I think this is very straightforward. People should know what is recyclable by the label that is on the container. As Chair of Natural Resources, I believe it's imperative that we do everything we can to make the recycling process straightforward. We know that less than 15% of single-use plastics are recycled, and part of that is because it's often unclear to consumers what is and what is not recyclable. With this bill, we would prohibit companies from using the word recyclable on unrecyclable products. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Rivas. Mr. Mathis, you are recognized.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker. I think some of my colleagues might have been thinking I was standing up to speak against this, but I'm actually going to ask for an aye vote on this one. I've talked to my local waste management guys. They've reached out. They've assured me that they're able to do this. I know there's a lot of concern on some of the food products and some of that things, but the author has actually taken amendments to work with people, which is a nice surprise. So on this one, I think the bottom line here in the big academic corporate term is corporate social responsibility. It's owning up, it's doing the right thing, and using the labels correctly. And when you talk to guys like Waste Management back home that do this as a profession, and they say they're able to do this, the people have been talked to. This isn't something new. This is something that's been discussed for years, and it's time to take that step forward and make it right. So I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mathis. Ms. Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you. I also ask for an aye vote for this bill. This is an important bill, but it's really a modest bill. It's just letting consumers know that when they see that arrow, things are really being recycled. We've done a lot of education out there, and a lot of us assume that we see the arrow, we put it into the trash can and it's being recycled, but it's in the single digits a lot of times of what's being recycled. Folks have talked about on-ramps. The on-ramp is, you have until 2025 to get to a very modest goal of only 60%. We should be really getting to 95 if you ask me. And if you're able to show that you haven't met that goal, but you're on your way there, you can get an extension. And so there's on-ramps. There's been confusions about whether or not other EPR programs are exempt, and they are. You can look at page 7 early on, and you see that carpet, that rechargeable batteries, that mattresses, anything when an existing EPR program is exempt also in this bill as well. The authors and the advocates have worked diligently to try to address concerns. There's a lot we need to do in this space, but the first step is ensuring that consumers have simple information to make smart choices. Along the way, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Thank you, members. Seeing no other members seeking recognition, Ms. Gonzalez, you may close.
I want to point out the amendments taken by the author ensured that the chamber, the retailers, and the ABA and tons of other business interests are now neutral. I respectfully ask for an aye on this very common sense transparency bill.
Clerk will open the roll. All members vote. Who desire to vote? All members vote. Who desire to vote? All members vote. Who desire to vote? Clerk will close the roll, tie the vote. Ayes 43, no 0. That measure passes.